As you guys saw before, we tore this thing down with the exception of the gearbox. I have zero intentions of messing with that. I've already looked at it. Again, everything looks great, so there's really no reason to. With that being said, I've cleaned, and if you can remember, I kind of labeled it, right? 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this has to do with like the case sides that they are on. So 2, 3, and 4, I've cleaned all of those up. That being the 2 internal ones and then the stator side. The only one I haven't done yet is the outside clutch basket side, and that's only because of the fact that I didn't want to like move this thing around with the gears and everything else in place and then leave it unsupported. I've kept it horizontal to allow for that gear stack to just sit there with no pressure or anything like that on there. Gears, bearings, and everything else, all of those surfaces look great, so I'm not super concerned about that. So the plan today is we're going to start working on that assembly piece. Now, I was originally planning on waiting till Tuesday, and the main reason for that was specifically because I needed that seal. But what I just realized is that the seal is really only hard to take out. Installing it's not hard. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull the cotter pin, remove that seal, and then when it gets in, slap her in. That shouldn't be a problem then. So the goal is to try to see if I can get the 2 plates put together, right, at a minimum, and then I can start working on building out the outsides. I don't know how much time it's going to take. I'm not going to lie to you though. I'm going to have the manual up because, you know, some time has passed and I want to make sure I don't mess things up. And I would recommend it for every one of you to do the same as well. Okay, so let's get set up and we can start working on kind of marrying those two. The only thing I need to look for is that I've got some RTV. I know we're gonna have to do some RTV. I'm gonna kind of dig through the manual on that too, because I need to kind of see where it needs to be applied. I mean, generally speaking, I kind of already have an idea. I will caution you to probably not go super crazy on how much you actually install in this particular case, because there's no groove channels. So we're talking flat to flat surfaces specifically so that the oil kind of is sealed inside. You don't want to do too much, because if you do, that's going to result in like an excess amount of RTV being squished into the case. And if that happens, right, it clogs things up, and obviously it's not a good thing to do. So we're going to try to make sure that when we put it on there, we use a finger to run it on those surfaces and try not to get in a crazy amount that's in those areas. Obviously, I want to make sure that I have the right amount too, because too little means that you're going to end up with an oil leak, and nobody wants that, because it means we got to repeat a lot of the work that we just did. So let's get set up real quick and we'll jump into it. All right, before I do anything, I'm going to see if they can get the seal out real quick. I'll just get some standard circlip pliers here. All right, yep. Nice and easy. And let's see what it's going to take to pop this seal out. I don't imagine much, to be honest. Just got to be careful. You want to go back and forth so that we can get this thing out of here without damaging anything. There we go. Now, there's probably a lip back here. Yep. Yeah, there's a slight lip back here. You don't want to press against that. That basically just like your stopping point specifically for this seal. So don't go too far in. Obviously, you don't want to damage anything, right? So I am going to prop that up over there, and we're going to take a look at this. So I think the best thing is going to be to just do a quick wipe out real fast of this, and then we can start focusing on some of the other stuff. Let me turn this off, actually. I don't need that running. Now, it shouldn't be too bad. I kept this stored in a bag. So I'm not overly concerned about it. But I do want to make sure I wipe it all out. Oh, these are my water pump seals. That's why I didn't replace those. Didn't do anything with that because I didn't need to. Let me double check this one real fast and see if I need to tackle that. All right, well, I think we're pretty much good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the crank, bring it over real fast, as well as the counterbalance, and we'll get those set into place. Now, this rod bolt that I have already comes kind of pre-torqued. So I already checked with him to make sure that this is good to go. And everything's good for the rod. And all I gotta do is install this crank. So ideally, this should go in without any major issues. Now what I am going to do is we are going to lube some surfaces here. So we want to make sure, well, you know what? I want some gloves. Okay, assembly lube to the rescue. Always want to make sure that we get our bearing surfaces nice and lubed up, right? Especially since we spend a lot of time going through and cleaning it. Those surfaces are very important for making sure they don't get damaged. So, okay. And now, I don't know who remembers what side goes on where, but if you don't know, this side right here goes to the clutch side, so straight down. This is for the stator. So we'll put this in. Now I'm going to also put some more assembly lube on here because you can never have enough. Really got to make sure it's good. And we're going to drop that in. I'm so thankful for my bearings being nice. Now let's check and see. One thing I didn't check on was clearancing. Ooh. Okay. At a specific, oh, this could cause an issue here. It doesn't just freely rotate and transition. Let's see. I'm gonna try to hold it as center as I can. All right, let's try something real quick. Let's try slapping a cylinder on there and see what that does as well. Oh man, this is not how it goes in, but let's grab the OEM crank and see how that looks. How much clearance are we dealing with here? Definitely a lot more clearance. So from down here, it seems fine when at this held towards the top. I think I need to grind this edge a little more. Well, I guess I gotta go ahead and do that. Let's clearance it out a little bit. I think that's the safest answer, to be honest. So I think we're just gonna go ahead and knock it out instead of really just kind of putting this thing together and it not working correctly. So let's cover this up. I'm gonna rotate this a little too. And we're just gonna have to do something I don't want to do, which is clear some of that material out. So, all right, as you can see, I took some precautions. I am gonna have to do some more cleaning, and that sucks. Not thrilled about that. I'm gonna vacuum all this out and then just clean up all the metal shavings. I honestly wasn't like I thought it'd probably be fine, but better safe than sorry. This is already an OEM spot specifically for, you know, clearancing for the rod. And now I'm gonna have to go through and do a big cleanup. So I'm not thrilled about that. In fact, I may even have to go back and touch it up some more. Not really gonna know until here in a little bit. So let me go ahead and get this cleaned up and see if that was enough. Hopefully it is, but we'll see. All right, had to do a little more clearancing. Had clearance on this end as well as this end. There's a little bit of a bump there. So let's check and see how this fitment's looking. And are we actually good? Because I was not expecting that much clearancing that needed to be done. However, I want to highlight and point out that clearancing is not uncommon when it comes to going with a larger than factory rod. Okay, so this isn't like a weird problem, so to speak, right? This is fairly normal. If any of you have looked at people that modify Predator engines and whatnot, they end up having to do clearancing all the time. So what I can feel is that it is still touching. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. Layout fluid. Okay, got some Dicam. Just put a little bit on there, we'll clean it up afterwards, but that way we can kind of see where we're making contact. I kind of can already kind of see what's happening, but obviously we want to make sure that we know exactly where to clearance, because I don't want to have to keep doing this. So let's rotate her around. It's normal direction. Okay, well let's... I didn't touch anything that time. Right there. I'm going to do it a little bit of an extreme angle so that I can get some contact on the Dicam. I'm noticing something too. This is right where the case is split. So whatever I do here, I'm gonna have to do it again on the other side. That is... I mean, it's so close. It's too close for comfort. I still need to. So right through here is where I'm gonna need to go and clearance some more. Which kind of sucks because this is already kind of thin. Let's see. I also think it's because this rod bolt protrudes a little bit. So I may grind down a little bit of this edge of this rod bolt, and that'll give me a little bit of extra cushion. I think that might be the key, is to do both. So let's do both. Okay, next attempt. So here's what I've done. I clearanced it a little more right here. And also these rod bolts were protruding a little bit. So I went ahead and clearanced on both sides just to clean them up a little bit. So hopefully that creates more clearance as well. So let's go ahead and pop this in real fast, and let's see how she's looking after we just did that. So again, assembly lube, always want to protect the bearing, right? Those are not replaceable, so, well, they are, we just can't get the parts for them. I don't know why. I wish that they would produce them, but they don't. So, you know, protect your bearings at all costs. And more importantly, make sure you're running good oil, right? That's going to be the number one thing that you can do for yourself. I am seeing something I don't like. Hold on real fast. I think there's an area that I need to clean up a little bit more. Just double check this. Just to make sure. Yeah, there's definitely a little bit there still. Now I did have all those kind of blocked off with my paper towels here, so then I went through, vacuumed it up, and wiped it down with some degreaser and what have you. So let's just do one quick little inspection. All right, let's slap her in. See if that gives us the clearance that we needed. All right. That looks really good. So I think we are, I mean, that was extreme. I think we are in the clear here. I'm gonna try to hold this. Yeah, let's do that again. So I'm gonna hold it and pull straight out this way. Nope, not good. So there's an area that I still see that needs a little bit more work. I would much rather take a look at this now, but right here, there needs to be a little more clearance. I would rather create more gap because there's going to be other factors at play. We've got thermal expansion to consider, right? Things of that nature. As this stuff gets heat soaked, it's going to get, you know, larger. And so we really have to take that into consideration. And right now I see an area that just needs to be, I think it'll be our last area that needs to be touched up. And it's a just in case. And so once we do that, I think we should be good. I think. All right, yeah, I think we're good. Cool, so there's that part. That was a whole lot of work just for one freaking thing. I'm gonna pull this out and I'm gonna do a more detailed cleaning on purpose. And from there, we're gonna see about putting some stuff together. So let's get her cleaned up a little bit. Okay, I feel happy about how clean this is now, so we can go ahead and move forward. So once again, we are going to drop all this in, and I am going to add some lubrication to this because, again, you can never have too much. This is very important, folks. Make sure that these surfaces are nice and clean. We got some good oil on there. That was a clean drop. Now we've got our balancer that's going in next. I'm gonna give this a quick wipe down too. So, pop quiz, does anybody remember what side goes where? Remember, we got this threaded bit here, got this part here. Give you 2 seconds. And if you said that the threaded bit goes down below, you would be correct because that's what drives the water pump. So I'm just gonna give this all a good wipe down, make sure everything looks good. I'm gonna apply some more. Okay, apply some more of the, I guess I really don't need to. I mean, it just seats the bearing, but I do want to put some on the shaft because I don't want it to damage the seals as it goes in. So now we're gonna have to put this in like so. Just gotta be very careful doing it. There we go. Now, these two obviously want to be in sync with each other. We can't have these contacting. Should be generally about here. They're going to be, you know, out from each other. So as this rotates through, just like that. See how cool that looks? Amazing. So, I'm not super worried about oiling this up. In fact, that reminds me, we need to get our oil bar in. And the reason why is because of the fact that my intention for startup when it comes to this thing is going to be to go through and, I need to pull the pin out of here, is to go through and, actually I think that pin can just stay. It's going to be to go through and undo the injector and as well as the ignition. And I'm probably going to even have the spark plug removed. And I'm going to just crank the living crap out of this thing for a little while. The whole point is to build up oil pressure with as little you know, resistance towards the engine as possible and make it to where we can go through and hopefully get this thing very well oiled prior to actually getting this thing cranking. So everything in here should be lubed up. The only thing I'm concerned about is some of these other surfaces, the journal bearing surfaces, for example, that are still going to see some high load. So let's see if we can see how this looks. I'm going to go ahead and kind of inch this in here. Again, I know this is not how it's supposed to go on here, but I just want to check and see one last time. Okay. All right. I'm gonna move this out the way for now because I need the clearance. And we can start looking at some parts. Now, obviously you saw this gear that goes over on the top. I don't need this crank either. Let me clean up a little bit and then we'll get back to it. All right, well, yet again, don't even get to put this thing together because I just realized that, as I mentioned before, and I completely disregarded, I have to go back in here and clearance the other side. This one actually seems to be a little bit worse because look how much it binds, right? So I can already tell we're gonna have to clearance a lot of this out just like the other side. So let's do a little bit of prep work, cover some stuff up, and then we'll go ahead and tackle this right now. All right, as you can see, we're back. Had to go back to the other one. I realized that obviously I can't do anything unless both of these sides are cleared and allow for the crank. So I'm gonna go ahead and slip this back in. Let's see here. Okay, I just wanna run this around one more time. Yep, that's about what I'm dealing with on the other side. All right, guys. Well, I know it seems a little bit tedious and repetitious, but I really need to make sure that this clearancing looks good. And so I made the decision to go ahead and clearance a little bit more out in the back here. Understand that for the big bore kit, technically you don't need to do this. And the only reason why I am is simply because of the fact that I, in addition to that, have a this new rod, and the rod is a little bit thicker than the OEM one, and it's designed that way so that it can handle a little bit more power, but it has also requires me to make sure that there's plenty of clearance because the rod is way different in size, and I am way happier with what I'm seeing right now. Okay. Yep. All right, cool. I am good with that. Now I need to position this. Sure, right there. Once again, our water pump is going to go down through that seal. and we'll get it lined up just ever so slightly. I hope my water pump seal doesn't come back to bite me in the butt, but it was a brand new seal. There it goes. Okay, so I'll position these out from each other. All right, yeah. This has gone on quite a lot longer than I thought it was going to, everybody. I'm probably going to just cut it here, to be honest, because it's a bit of a drag, but I honestly did not realize this part was going to just take such a long time. And I've got some things that I need to take care of, but it'll give me some time to kind of get cleaned up and look at whatever else I need to as far as getting the rest of this kind of set up. And yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to tell you guys except we will get there eventually. Do not lose this spring up here, by the way. There's a spring. And we'll see you in the next one. So over and out until the next time.